Station security just declared code extinction because a student threw a chair at the human exchange student, and she's laughing. All personnel, code extinction. Repeat, code extinction in Lecture Hall 7. The emergency broadcast crackled through every speaker on Galactic Academy Station Epsilon 7. Deathworld organism has been physically attacked. Evacuate adjacent sectors immediately. Charlotte Brown caught the reinforced steel chair one-handed without spilling her coffee. Does this count as participation credit? She asked, staring at the chair like someone had just handed her a mildly interesting pamphlet. Kael'thas, all 6 arms still extended from his throwing stance, stood frozen in absolute horror. His azure skin had drained to a sickly pale blue. The Valorian noble, whose people had conquered 14 star systems through pure martial prowess, was watching his entire life flash before his eyes. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. "Oh gods," he whispered. "Oh gods, what have I done?" The other 23 students in advanced astrophysics hadn't waited for the evacuation order. They'd hit the floor the moment Kael'thas grabbed the furniture, scrambling for the exits in a tangle of limbs, tentacles, and pseudopods. The crystalline student from Sector 9 had literally shattered herself in panic. Her consciousness now distributed across 47 glittering shards skittering toward the door. Professor Vexthul's hand was already slamming the emergency panic button mounted under his desk. "Security, we have a Deathworld response event in progress. Student struck human with full-force projectile, requesting immediate—" "I'm not struck," Charlotte interrupted, setting the chair down gently. It left a small dent in the reinforced floor. "I mean, he threw it at me, but I caught it. See, I'm fine." She took a sip of her coffee. Still hot. Perfect. Commander Zara's voice exploded through Professor Vexthul's communicator with the kind of volume usually reserved for stellar collapse warnings. "What is the human's status? Is she injured? Has she initiated aggressive response protocols?" "She's drinking coffee, Commander," Vexthul reported, his 4 stalked eyes swiveling independently to track Charlotte's every movement. His species had evolved to watch for predators from multiple angles. Right now, every instinct screamed that he wasn't watching enough angles. "Coffee," Zara repeated flatly. "The Valorian noble assaulted her with a chair rated to support 400 kilograms, and she's drinking coffee." "Should I not be?" Charlotte asked, genuinely confused now. "Look, I know I'm new here, but this seems like a massive overreaction. It was just a chair." "Just a chair?" Kael'thas's voice cracked across 3 octaves. "I threw a reinforced steel chair at a human from a Deathworld. Do you understand what I've done?" Through the lecture hall's observation windows, Charlotte could see security forces arriving in full combat armor, not the light stuff campus security usually wore. This was military-grade hardshell plating with mounted energy shields. Behind them, medical teams were setting up triage stations. Further back, she could make out what looked suspiciously like evacuation shuttles powering up. "Okay, seriously, what is happening right now?" Charlotte set down her coffee and turned to Professor Vexthul. "We were just having a debate about gravitational physics. It got a little heated, sure, but he challenged your homeworld's technological development," one of the remaining students squeaked from behind an overturned desk. "Called Earth a barely Class 3 civilization playing at Academy-level science." "Yeah, and?" Charlotte shrugged. "I mean, he's not wrong. We only got FTL like 15 years ago. We're definitely the newbies here." The emergency broadcast escalated. "All staff, Protocol 7743 is now in effect. Galactic Protocol 7743, Deathworld Organism Aggression Response. Medical teams, prepare for casualties. Diplomatic Corps, stand by for potential interstellar incident. This is not a drill." "Commander, requesting clarification." Vexthul spoke carefully into his communicator, never taking his eyes off Charlotte. "The human is She's smiling. Is smiling an aggressive display in human culture? Negative! Repeat! Negative! Zara's voice had taken on a hysterical edge. Smiling with visible teeth indicates either pleasure or imminent attack. We're pulling up her file now. Charlotte Brown, age 22, from Earth continent designated North America, subspecies classification, completely unmodified baseline human. Oh, gods, she's not even augmented! Charlotte raised her hand like she was still in her Earth high school. Hi, yes, quick question. Why is everyone acting like the station's about to explode? Kael'thas threw a chair. I caught it. No harm, no foul, right. Kael'thas made a sound like a deflating balloon. No harm, no harm. You caught 400 kilograms of steel without even putting down your beverage. Your species evolved on a planet with gravity that would crush most civilized beings. Your atmospheric pressure would implode our organs. Your native fauna includes creatures that hunt in packs and others that can crush titanium with their jaws, and I threw a chair at you. It really wasn't that heavy, Charlotte said, which somehow made everything worse. The security forces burst through 3 separate entrances simultaneously, their armor's servos whining as they trained weapons on nothing specific, because they clearly hadn't planned for the target to be calmly standing in the middle of the room holding a coffee cup. Human Charlotte Brown, the lead officer announced, his voice modulated through his helmet's speaker system. Please remain calm and stationary. We are here for your protection and the protection of all station personnel. Protection from what? Charlotte asked, setting the chair down with exaggerated care. It still made a thud that caused 2 security officers to flinch. Seriously, I'm so confused right now. Kael'thas immediately dropped into a formal Valorian surrender posture, all 6 arms spread wide, head bowed, neck exposed. I accept full responsibility for unprovoked aggression against a protected species. I surrender myself to human justice and accept whatever retribution she deems appropriate. Retribution? Dude, I don't want retribution. Charlotte turned to him, exasperated. You got mad, you threw a chair, I caught it. Can we just move on with the lecture? Security Chief Zelar materialized via hologram, his crystalline form refracting light in agitated patterns. Commander Zara, I have visual confirmation. The human shows no external injury despite confirmed impact trajectory that should have resulted in catastrophic skeletal damage. That's because there was no impact, Charlotte protested. I caught it. That's literally the opposite of being hit. Zara's voice came through every speaker now, tight with barely controlled panic. Chief Sylar, Galactic Protocol 7743. Section 4, Subsection 12. In the event a Deathworld organism intercepts a projectile attack with sufficient velocity to suggest enhanced combat capability, all personnel must assume hostile intent until proven otherwise. I'm not hostile. I'm a literature major. She studies literature, Vexthul added helpfully, then paused. Wait. Doesn't human literature extensively feature violence, warfare, and survival scenarios? That's fiction. Charlotte's coffee was getting cold, and she was getting annoyed. Look, can someone please just scan me or whatever you need to do to confirm I'm fine so we can all calm down? A medical officer cautiously approached with a handheld scanner, moving like he was defusing a bomb. The device beeped, whirred, and displayed results on its screen. The medical officer's face went through several colors. Commander, he reported shakily, the human is completely uninjured. No fractures, no soft tissue damage, no elevated stress hormones. Her heart rate is actually lower than baseline. She's bored. I'm not bored, I'm confused, Charlotte snapped. There's a difference. Other students were being interviewed at the exits, and their testimonies weren't helping. The chair was moving at lethal velocity. She didn't even brace for impact. Her reflexes, they weren't natural. Nothing should move that fast. She smiled when she caught it. That wasn't a smile, that was confusion, Charlotte shouted toward the exits. My face just looks like that sometimes. Stellar's hologram flickered with agitation. Commander, requesting authorization to call in Dreadnought-class support. If the human decides to retaliate, our current forces are insufficient for containment. It's just a chair, guys. Charlotte's patience was officially depleted. A chair, furniture. I've had roommates throw bigger things at me during finals week. The entire security team took a collective step backward. She engages in recreational combat during academic stress periods, Vex Thul translated helpfully into his communicator. Commander, this may be worse than we thought. A new hologram materialized. Academy Dean Hill, his serpentine form coiled in what might have been distress. Someone explained to me why I'm receiving incident reports, suggesting we're on the verge of an interstellar diplomatic crisis in the middle of an astrophysics lecture. Dean Hill, a student physically attacked the human exchange student, Vex Thul reported, and the human's response. She caught the weapon and asked if it counted for participation credit. Hill was silent for a long moment. She caught it. One-handed, sir, while holding a beverage. I'm standing right here, Charlotte interjected. And, for the record, it wasn't a weapon, it was a chair. We were debating whether Earth's gravity calculations account for relativistic effects properly. Kael'thas said we were too primitive to understand real physics. I disagreed. He got mad. He threw the chair. I caught it. That's the entire story. You disagreed about gravity physics, Hill repeated slowly. Yes. And his response was to throw furniture. Apparently. And your response was to catch it. Charlotte threw her hands up. What else was I supposed to do? Let it hit me? That would have made a mess, and Professor Vex Thul just cleaned the board. Kael'thas, still in surrender posture, made a sound like a wounded animal. She's concerned about the cleanliness of the classroom. She's not even angry. What kind of predator isn't angry when attacked? The kind that has 3 younger brothers, Charlotte muttered. Trust me, you throw like my middle brother, and he's 12. The security forces exchanged glances. Silar's hologram was now cycling through colors that probably indicated extreme distress in his species. Commander Zara, he said quietly, I'm upgrading this to a code singularity. We need the Galactic Council. Within minutes, the lecture hall had transformed into an impromptu command center. Holograms of various Galactic Diplomatic Corps officials materialized in a semicircle, each one looking more concerned than the last. Let me get this straight, Charlotte said slowly, finally piecing it together. You all think I'm going to what? Go on some kind of revenge rampage because a classmate threw a chair at me? The silence was deafening. Oh my God, you actually do think that? Charlotte started laughing, genuine, bewildered laughter that made every official in the room tense up. That's insane. I'm not going to hurt anyone. It was just a stupid argument. The human is exhibiting vocal expressions of amusement, one diplomat reported into a recording device. Classic suppressed rage indicator according to Human Behavioral Studies, Chapter 47. That's not suppressed rage, that's just laughing, Charlotte protested, which only made several officials make frantic notes. A psychologist hologram appeared, its fractal form pulsing analytically. The human claims absence of aggressive intent despite clear provocation. This suggests either advanced deception capabilities or emotional suppression beyond our current understanding. Recommend immediate deep scan psychological evaluation. I don't need a psych eval, I need everyone to calm down. Kael'thas, still prostrated on the floor, spoke up weakly. For the record, I did insult her entire civilization. I called Earth a barely Class 3 civilization stumbling around the galaxy like an infant with a plasma torch. I said humans were playing at academy-level science when they should still be figuring out basic propulsion. The diplomats collectively winced. Charlotte shrugged. I mean, yeah? We're not great at space stuff yet. We literally just got here. You're not wrong. She's acknowledging technological inferiority, Vexthul whispered urgently to the officials, but her tone suggests no shame, no defensive posturing. How is this possible? Maybe it's a trap, Sealers suggested. Psychological warfare. Make us think she's not a threat, then strike when we're vulnerable. Or, and hear me out, I'm just not a threat. Charlotte's volume increased. I'm a 22-year-old college student who's 3,000 light years from home trying to pass astrophysics. That's it. That's the whole story. One of the diplomatic holograms, a being composed of what looked like sentient gas, spoke carefully. Ms. Brown, perhaps you don't understand. Your homeworld's gravity is 1.3 times standard. Your atmosphere contains oxygen at concentrations that would be toxic to most species. Your planet's surface is 71% dihydrogen monoxide, a universal solvent. You evolved as pursuit predators with enhanced endurance capabilities, binocular vision for tracking prey, and I'm a vegetarian, Charlotte interrupted. The hologram froze. You're... what? Vegetarian. I don't even eat meat. I mostly survive on coffee and instant noodles like every other broke college student in the galaxy. Professor Vexthul made a strangled sound. She's malnourished, and she still caught the chair? I'm not malnourished. I'm fine. To emphasize her point, Charlotte gestured broadly and accidentally knocked Vexthul's datapad off the desk. Her hand snapped out reflexively, catching it mid-air. The solid titanium datapad now bore a perfect handprint impression, each finger clearly defined where they'd gripped the surface. Every being in the room stared at the datapad. Charlotte stared at the datapad. That's a normal human grip strength, right? She asked weakly. Normal? Zeeler's hologram was now strobing through colors that probably indicated complete system failure. You just deformed military-grade titanium with casual grip pressure. I didn't mean to. I just didn't want it to break. So you instinctively protected our equipment. By crushing it instead, Verhill said flatly. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Commander Zara, I'm calling an emergency session with the Galactic Council representatives. This is beyond Academy jurisdiction. 3 new holograms appeared, actual Galactic Council members, the highest civilian authority in known space. Charlotte recognized one from her orientation materials. Counselor Jataro of the Unified Governance Committee. We've been monitoring this situation, Jataro announced gravely. Ms. Brown, do you understand the severity of what's occurring? A student threw a chair, I caught it, and now everyone's acting like I'm about to destroy the station? Charlotte's frustration was reaching critical levels. Yes, I understand how completely ridiculous this is. Can I please just go back to my dorm? I have a paper due tomorrow. She's prioritizing academic deadlines over an interstellar diplomatic incident, the psychologist hologram noted. Possible indication of enhanced stress management or complete disconnect from social reality. Or I just want to finish my homework. Charlotte threw her hands up again, causing 5 security officers to activate their shields. This is insane! You're all being insane! Kylthos finally lifted his head. Human Charlotte, I formally apologize for my aggression and any cultural offense. Please, I beg you, accept my apology so this nightmare can end. I accepted your apology like 10 minutes ago. I'm not mad at you. Charlotte turned to the assembled officials, security forces, and council members. I'm not mad at anyone. Well, I'm getting annoyed now, but that's because you're all treating me like I'm some kind of walking apocalypse instead of letting me go study. The human is escalating to annoyance, someone reported. Oh, for the love of... Charlotte pinched the bridge of her nose, a gesture that made half the security team flinch. What do I have to do to convince you people that I'm not dangerous? Perhaps, Counselor Jataro said carefully. That's the problem, Ms. Brown. You don't seem to understand that you are dangerous, objectively, measurably dangerous. And you're completely unaware of it. Charlotte stared at the counselor, then at the dented datapad in her hand. then at the chair that had left an impression in the reinforced floor, then at Kael'thas, a six-armed warrior from a species known for conquering star systems, still trembling on the ground. "Oh," she said quietly. "Oh, you're all actually scared of me." "Finally," Vexthul breathed. "She understands." "Hey everyone, Emma Williams, Earth Liaison Office." The woman appeared in standard diplomatic attire, holding what looked like a tablet and an expression of profound exhaustion. "Got the alert about a code extinction incident. What did Charlotte do this time?" "I didn't do anything," Charlotte protested. "That's the whole problem." A Valorian student threw a chair at her, Counselor Jotaro explained. She caught it, one-handed, while holding a beverage. Emma blinked. "Okay, and? Is that why I had to leave a meeting with the Trade Commission?" The silence that followed was profound. You don't consider this a crisis?" Commander Zara asked carefully. "A crisis? No offense, Commander, but this barely qualifies as an argument back home." Emma pulled up her tablet. "Let me show you something. This is what humans consider normal conflict resolution practice." The holographic display shifted to video footage. 30 humans in striped shirts were actively tackling each other into mud, fighting over an oval ball with what could only be described as enthusiastic violence. "That's rugby," Emma narrated. "Popular recreational sport, minimal protective equipment, full contact, played for fun." The next video showed humans on ice, slamming each other into walls with sticks. Hockey, also recreational. Notice the voluntary nature of the collisions. The third video displayed 2 humans in a padded ring, actively punching each other in the face while a crowd cheered. "Martial arts sparring, we teach this to children for exercise and discipline." Every alien official was staring at the footage in unconcealed horror. "Wait, go back," Charlotte said, squinting at the rugby footage. "Is that from state championship? I'm in that game. Number 23, see?" She pointed at the screen where a player was being tackled by 3 opponents and still somehow maintaining possession of the ball. "We won that match. Great game." Kael'thas made a sound like a dying engine. You do this for stress relief?" "Yeah, well, I did before I came here. I haven't found anywhere to play on the station yet." Charlotte paused. "Is that why everyone keeps telling me the recreation center is undergoing maintenance whenever I ask about it?" Emma nodded sympathetically. "They closed it when you enrolled, too worried about liability if you use the equipment. Charlotte, they think you'll accidentally destroy everything you touch." "That's ridiculous. I'm very careful with station property." Charlotte held up the dented datapad, then winced. "Okay, bad example, but that was an accident." "Ms. Brown," Counselor Jotaro interjected, "help us understand. Kael'thas threw a 400-kilogram steel chair at your head with enough force to cause serious injury to most species. You're telling us this is, what, equivalent to what, in human terms?" Charlotte considered. "Like if someone threw a wadded-up piece of paper at me? Maybe a little harder than that. Like a tennis ball?" Kael'thas's legs gave out completely. He was now just a puddle of despair on the floor. "Let me make this clear," Emma said, her voice taking on an official tone. "From Earth's perspective, this incident consisted of one student getting angry during an academic debate and making a physical gesture of frustration. Another student reflexively preventing property damage. That's it. No injuries, no actual violence, no meaningful threat." "But the human could have retaliated," Sealer protested. "Could she?" Emma looked directly at Charlotte. "Were you planning to hit him back?" "What? No! Why would I?" Charlotte looked genuinely confused. He was obviously already freaking out. Hitting him would have just made things worse. "She chose not to respond with violence," Vexthul said slowly, "because she was concerned about causing him psychological distress." "Well, yeah, he looked terrified." Charlotte glanced at Kael'thas. "You okay down there, buddy?" "I attacked a predator," Kael'thas whispered to the floor. A Deathworld predator, and she's asking if I'm okay. Emma pulled up another screen. Okay, folks, I'm updating the Galactic database entry for humans right now. Current threat assessment is clearly inadequate. Charlotte, average height, average build, no combat training beyond recreational sports, literature major, just demonstrated casual grip strength sufficient to deform military-grade materials. I'm bumping the physical capability ratings up 3 categories. 3? Commander Zara sounded faint. Should probably be 4, but I don't want to cause panic. Emma typed rapidly. And before anyone asks, no, we can't just train humans to be weaker. This is baseline. Charlotte's actually on the lower end of human physical capability. She doesn't even work out regularly. I do yoga sometimes, Charlotte offered. Multiple officials made distressed noises. Right, Commander Zara said after a long pause. Implementing new human interaction protocols, effective immediately. All station personnel are to avoid physical confrontation with human students under any circumstances. Any disputes involving humans must be mediated through official channels with human liaisons present. That seems excessive, Charlotte muttered. Ms. Brown, Mr. Kael'thas, Dean R. Hill announced formally, you're both required to attend a mediation session tomorrow. Mandatory conflict resolution. We need this officially documented and resolved. Charlotte sighed. Fine. Kael'thas, you want to grab coffee after? Show there's no hard feelings? Six arms trembled as Kael'thas slowly pulled himself upright. You want to socialize? With me? After I attacked you? You didn't attack me, you threw a chair. There's a difference. Charlotte smiled, causing 3 security officers to tense, and held out her hand. Come on, my treat. I know a place that makes decent coffee. Well, decent by station standards. Nothing like Earth coffee, but you work with what you've got. Kael'thas stared at her extended hand like it was a loaded weapon. Very slowly, using only one arm and minimal contact, he accepted the handshake. You're insane, he whispered. Your entire species is insane. Yeah, we get that a lot. Charlotte released his hand, and Kael'thas immediately checked to make sure all his bones were still intact. So coffee? Coffee, he agreed weakly, as they headed for the door, escorted by no fewer than 12 security officers maintaining a safe distance. A station-wide memo began broadcasting. Attention all personnel, effective immediately. Physical confrontation with human students is prohibited under any circumstances. Humans possess significantly enhanced physical capabilities and may not be aware of their relative strength advantage. Any disputes must be resolved through official mediation channels. Treat all interactions with human students as you would with military-grade equipment, carefully, respectfully, and with appropriate safety protocols. This is not a joke. This is not a drill. Thank you for your cooperation. Charlotte groaned. Great. Now everyone's going to be even weirder around me. Perhaps, Emma said diplomatically, you could try being slightly less casually terrifying. I'm a literature major. How is that terrifying? Emma pulled up one more file. Your last essay analyzed the psychological warfare tactics in human historical literature, specifically focusing on the art of war and the prince. You titled it, Practical Applications of Historical Violence in Modern Conflict Resolution. It was a comparative literature assignment. Charlotte, Emma said gently, maybe stick to poetry for your next paper. 2 weeks later, Galactic Academy Station Epsilon 7 had adapted to its new reality, though adapted might have been a generous term. Mandatory Deathworld Species. Awareness Training, Session 4, the instructor announced to a packed auditorium. Today's topic, why you cannot win a physical altercation with a human, even if you're a decorated warrior. Kael'thas sat in the front row, having become the reluctant poster child for the training program. His testimony, I threw a chair and she caught it while holding coffee, had been incorporated into the official curriculum. Charlotte, meanwhile, had achieved an odd sort of celebrity status. Students whispered as she passed in hallways. "That's her," they'd murmur, "the human who survived the assassination attempt." "It wasn't an assassination attempt," she'd protest, but nobody listened. The strangest development was her friendship with Kael'thas. After their mandated coffee meeting, he'd sheepishly asked for help with physics homework. Charlotte had agreed, then proceeded to solve differential equations in her head while explaining the concepts. "You're doing that without a computational device?" Kael'thas had asked, watching her scribble calculations. "It's just math. You can do it too, watch." "Please stop, you're making it worse." Now they met twice a week for study sessions, though Kael'thas insisted on meeting in public spaces with multiple exit routes, just in case. The academy had implemented new safety protocols. A 50-meter buffer zone was now required during any human athletic activities. This had been established after Charlotte mentioned she wanted to go for a light jog, and security calculated that her light jog would be faster than most species' emergency sprint speeds. The recreation center had finally reopened, with modifications. Charlotte had joined the Station Combat Sports Club, which now met in a reinforced facility with a shielded observation deck for alien spectators. Watching a human do casual exercise had become the station's most popular spectator sport. Commander Zara's daily reports had gained a new section, Human Incident Counter, Days Without Incident. Currently, it stood at 14 days. The station had a betting pool on when it would reset. Charlotte was deeply offended by this. Emma Williams had, optimistically, submitted paperwork to increase the human exchange student quota from 1 to 5. The Galactic Council had voted on the proposal, 10,000 against, 3 in favor. "One human is already stretching our safety protocols," Councillor Jotaro had explained diplomatically. 5 would require a complete station redesign. Charlotte tried not to take it personally. "Hey, Kael'thas, I gotta run," Charlotte said, finishing her coffee in the station cafe. They'd just completed another study session where she'd accidentally broken 2 styluses by gripping them, normally. "I'm late for work." "Work?" Kael'thas's skin paled. "You have employment?" "Doing what?" "Part-time job at the station gym. I teach a fitness class." "You teach aliens human fitness techniques?" His voice climbed an octave. "Has Commander Zara approved this?" "It's very beginner-level stuff. Super safe. First class is in 10 minutes, actually. Want to watch?" 20 minutes later, Kael'thas sat in the shielded observation deck with a dozen other curious aliens, watching Charlotte's beginner human-safe aerobics class. The class consisted of one student, a brave Valorian named Talana, who declared she wanted to understand human physical culture. "Okay, Talana, you're doing great," Charlotte encouraged, demonstrating what she labeled as basic warm-up exercises. "Just 10 more jumping jacks." Talana was on her 3rd jumping jack, moving at approximately 1/10 Charlotte's demonstration speed with a medical team standing by. "Is this normal?" a crystalline student whispered to Kael'thas. "For humans?" "Apparently." On her 7th jumping jack, Talana's legs gave out. The medical team rushed forward, scanners ready. "Thumbs up, just exhaustion, no permanent damage." "Great work today," Charlotte said cheerfully, apparently not noticing her students' collapse. "Same time next week, we'll work up to 10 consecutive jumping jacks." Talana gave a weak thumbs up from the floor. Charlotte packed up her gym bag, which, Kael'thas noted with horror, seemed to contain metal weights that he probably couldn't lift with all 6 arms combined. "Hey, Kael'thas, can you help me carry this?" Charlotte called up to the observation deck. "It's kinda heavy." "How heavy?" he asked suspiciously. "Like 40 kilograms? 50? I don't know. I don't really pay attention." It required all 6 of his arms and significant effort. Charlotte had been carrying it one-handed. "Thanks. Oh, by the way, I have to finish my essay tonight. Want to proofread it?" "What's the topic?" Kael'thas asked, struggling with the bag. "Why humans aren't actually that scary." I'm arguing that most human capabilities are just normal for Deathworld evolution, and everyone's overreacting. Kalthas stared at her. At the gym bag he was barely managing to carry. At Talana, still recovering on the floor from 7 jumping jacks. At the shielded observation deck built specifically to watch humans exercise safely. Charlotte, he said carefully, I think you might be missing the point. What? Come on, I'm not scary, I'm nice. I help with homework, I buy coffee. You deformed a titanium datapad with your grip strength. That was an accident. You caught a 400-kilogram chair one-handed. Good reflexes run in my family. You're teaching a fitness class that requires medical supervision. Talana's just building up her stamina. Kalthas sighed, all 6 arms straining under the weight of her light gym bag. See you in class tomorrow? Yeah, we're covering black holes. It's going to be so cool. Charlotte's enthusiasm was genuine, and somehow more terrifying than any threat could be. She waved goodbye and headed toward her dorm, already mentally drafting her essay on why humans were perfectly normal and not scary at all. Behind her, every student in the corridor pressed themselves against the walls to maintain the recommended safe distance. In the security office, Commander Zara updated her daily report. Human incident counter, 14 days. Note, human still does not understand why protocols exist. Recommend continued monitoring, possibly forever. Kalthas watched Charlotte disappear around the corner, her laugh echoing down the corridor, a sound that had once terrified him and now just made him tired. See you tomorrow, he muttered, all 6 arms aching. Somewhere in the station, 10,000 beings collectively shuddered. It was going to be a long semester.